red crosses, and black blood. The twin suns of Carthis-IV hung dim behind the dust-stained clouds, casting long shadows across the scarred landscape. Craters pockmarked the valley where the Human Medical Relief Corps had set up their mobile triage compound. White tents flapped in the wind, emblazoned with crimson crosses, a symbol meant to command universal respect, a symbol of peace. Dr. Alara Min moved between the wounded with practiced urgency. Her gloves were soaked in green and red blood. Human and alien alike received treatment under her scalpel. She didn't see species. She saw wounds. And wounds, she had once told her staff, bled the same. "Stabilize the Dari," she barked, pointing to the ashen-skinned alien moaning on the stretcher. "And tell him he'll keep the leg. We don't amputate unless there's no other option." A young nurse nodded and ran. Alara straightened up and wiped her brow. The air smelled of antiseptic, plasma burns, and fatigue. Around her, EarthGov medics, technicians, and civilian volunteers moved with coordinated precision. It was a beacon of hope amid a war-torn world. They were not soldiers. They wore no armor, only the red cross on their backs and hearts. Then the perimeter alarms chirped once, then fell silent. "Status?" Alara asked without turning. One of the outer volunteers looked confused, tapping her earpiece. "No movement." "Wait, I have a party of Dravari approaching. 4 vehicles. They're waving the ceasefire flag." Alara's shoulders tensed. The Dravari. Officially, the treaty had declared the medical zones neutral. That was the whole point. Relief efforts for all species in need. The Dravari had even signed the accords. But that didn't mean trust. Still, protocol demanded compassion first. "Prepare the translators. Bring medical kits." "No weapons," she said. The lead vehicle, a 6-legged crawler with tribal markings scorched into its hull, slowed before the main entrance. 10 Dravari warriors emerged. Tall, armored, insectoid bipeds with piercing mandibles and ceremonial tusks. Their rifles were holstered. Their leader, a blood-splattered warrior priest, held up a wounded child in his arms. "My son," he rasped in accented Terran. "Save him." Alara stepped forward without hesitation. "Bring him in. Quickly." She turned her back to shout instructions. Scalpels, clamps, stims, standard triage for a collapsed lung and thoracic burn. The sound of plasma charging filled the air. She didn't even finish turning when the first bolt hit her in the spine. Chaos erupted. Screams, shouts. Medics dove for cover, unarmed and unarmored. Some didn't even make it to the ground before the next volley of fire tore through the tents. The Red Cross did not protect them. The Dravari warriors opened fire in tight formations, methodical, tactical. This was no panic, no mistaken identity. They shot doctors through the heart. They grenade triage bays. The wounded patients, human and alien alike, were vaporized in their beds. A young male medic tried to shield a child. He was bisected mid-sprint. A nurse pleaded in 3 languages before her head was crushed beneath a Dravari's boot. In just under 4 minutes, the medical camp was silent. Only the crackle of burning gauze and broken monitors remained. The last image captured by a satellite drone above the site showed a pile of bloodied, white coats arranged in a circle around the charred flag of the Red Cross. A message carved into the dirt in human script read, "Mercy is weakness." When the footage reached EarthGov Central Command, the silence in the room was total. Admiral Laren, a man of strict diplomatic restraint, stared at the screen without blinking. "These people were under the protection of the Galactic Accords," he said. "Doctors, nurses, aid workers, civilians. They weren't even armed," whispered someone from the intelligence desk. "Is this confirmed?" came the voice of the president, joining the feed from Geneva. "Yes," Laren said, voice iron. "Confirmed. All 167 personnel presumed dead. No survivors, no provocation, and no formal claim of responsibility." A pause. Then the president said 4 words that changed everything. "Authorize Operation Seraphim." Immediately, Admiral Laren didn't flinch. "Yes, ma'am." Across Earth's orbital defense ring, in the shadow of Mars and Titan, encrypted orders were transmitted to black sites and deep space stations. One code repeated across every secure channel. se.rph.activate. Inside a classified orbital dreadnought named Judgment, red lights bathed a hangar in sterile light. Cryo chambers hissed, open one by one. Massive figures stepped out, tall, armored, human only in origin. Their movements were precise, mechanical, purposeful. They were ghosts born in war, the result of Earth's darkest war projects. Once medics, now something else. The Angels of Death. No trial, no council vote, no debates, only the mission. Their commander, Lieutenant Kyra Voss, read the kill order while strapping on her neural interface. She looked down at the last message sent from the fallen med station. A photo of Dr. Alara Min smiling, holding a Yadari child she'd saved the day before the massacre. Her voice was steady as steel. Drop us. The Angels launched in silence, stars streaking past their pods like frozen fire. Justice wasn't coming. It had already been unleashed. The Angels descend. The drop pods hit atmosphere like thunderclaps, punching through Carthis-IV's clouds in tight formation. No warning, no diplomatic preamble, no mercy. Each pod bore the sigil of Earth's Black Ops strike unit. An angelic figure, wings of steel, holding a sword dripping blood. They called them the Angels of Death. Lieutenant Kyra Voss stood inside her pod in a metal exosuit, motionless as fire licked the windows. Vital signs stable. Heartbeat, 42 BPM. Oxygenation optimal. Neural links synchronized. Her HUD blinked. Mission objective: exterminate Dravari military targets. No prisoners. No contact. Row override code. Mercy null. A voice chimed at her comms. It was mechanical, but familiar. Seraph 2, call sign Wraith. ETA is 60 seconds, boss. No AA lock detected. Think they thought we'd come through the council. We're not coming through anyone, Kyra replied coldly. We're going through them. The Dravari outpost below, Sector Theta 7, was mid-shift. Warriors patrolled perimeter towers lazily. Engineers smoked glow roots near reactor ducts. The slaughter of the humans had been 2 cycles ago. The high had passed. There had been no response. No diplomatic fallout. No fleets on their scanners. One Dravari, a young officer, muttered to another. Perhaps they were too weak to fight back. The sky answered. The first pod hit the courtyard and detonated, not with explosives, but shockwave disruption. A burst of kinetic energy that flattened everything in a 20-meter radius. The second landed behind the communications tower. Before the dust settled, twin bolts of plasma lanced upward, severing the structure clean in half. Kyra's pod drilled into the main command spire. The moment it opened, she moved. One Dravari guard raised his weapon. She was faster. A vibroblade emerged from her wrist. It split his chest like paper. The command room erupted in chaos. Officers lunged for weapons. One screamed for reinforcements. Another opened a broadcast channel. Kyra shot him in the throat before he spoke. Seraph team, she said calmly, walking over blood and shattered consoles. Sector clear in 45 seconds. Move to next zone. Stagger sweeps. Confirmed, said Wraith. I've got eyes on ammo depot. Burn it. Kyra's mind operated like a scalpel. Efficient, cold, merciless. The Angels had been chosen for more than combat. They had once been doctors, medics, trauma surgeons, trained to preserve life. But those who understood how to preserve it best also understood how to destroy it precisely. Her squad moved like predators. No wasted motion. Every kill deliberate. One by one, the Angels struck down supply lines, command links, and barracks. The enemy never even mounted a proper defense. One Dravari soldier, cornered and terrified, dropped his rifle and screamed, "We surrender." Kyra stopped. She scanned his uniform. Tactical insignia. Senior weapons handler. DNA signature match to records. He had been posted outside the human medical zone during the massacre. Her voice dropped to a whisper. There is no surrender. She shot him point blank. No hesitation. By the time the sun rose over Carthis-IV, 5 Dravari outposts had gone dark. No distress calls. No retreat. Only silence. Across the Dravari fleet command aboard the cruiser Talon Wunder, chaos unfolded. Commanders shouted over scrambled intel. 5 bases lost in 4 hours. No visual confirmation of attackers, just shadows and dead systems. Some reports mention winged Terrans. A hologram blinked to life. Dravari warlord Jerntal, who had personally authorized the cleansing of the Earth medic camp, appeared. His mandibles clicked with fury. Terrans do not have wings, he snapped. They do now, one of his aides muttered, watching grainy footage of a towering armored figure with metallic winged drones arcing behind her. Warlord Jerntal growled. Escalate to planetary defense posture. Deploy gunships. Kill every Terran that breathes. Back planetside, the Angels regrouped on a plateau overlooking the valley. Their armor was scorched. Their weapons glowed hot. Not one of them was injured. Kyra stood silent, watching the fires in the distance. Dravari watchtowers, now broken and burning. Phase 1 complete, reported Wraith, jogging up to her. Kyra nodded. Phase 2, covert strikes, urban centers, deep cleans. Still no council interference. They won't interfere, she said. Not for medics. Not for us. They like pretending justice is a process. Wraith looked at her carefully. You ever think we're going too far? Kyra's gaze hardened. She tapped a control panel on her wrist, and a photo flickered into view. Dr. Alara Min, smiling in her bloodied white coat. And beside her, a makeshift grave with a child's teddy bear. They crossed the line, she said. We erased it. She looked back at the team. Gear up. We're not done. This isn't a warning. This is the cure. And as the angels of death vanished into the morning haze, one message spread across the Dravari networks like a ghost-written curse. You killed mercy. Now face vengeance. No surrender, no graves. Dravari Prime burned on every broadcast channel. Not the planet, but the idea of it. Its outposts in flames, its commanders executed, its black sites silenced with surgical precision. The attacks had no signature, no warning, no patterns. Only bodies. The Galactic Council whispered of Earth's reprisal, but did nothing. The Accords had no clause for what came after mercy was slaughtered. The Angels of Death were rewriting the laws of war and blood. Lieutenant Kyra Voss stood in the hollowed remains of a once-thriving Dravari garrison beneath the Equinox Ridge. Her boots crunched over ash and fragments of armor. She moved between collapsed walls, ignoring the muffled coughs of a dying soldier buried beneath rubble. He reached up feebly, fingers twitching. Please, he rasped. We didn't kill the medics. Kyra paused, scanned his insignia. Logistics officer. Attached to the 12th Spear Division. Records placed them at Carthis-IV 2 days before the massacre. You moved supply crates through the humanitarian corridor, she said. Weapon crates. I just followed, he began. Kyra shot him through the skull. Clean. No anger. Just precision. She turned to her team, silhouetted against a ruined skyline. Burn the records. Wipe the base. Phase 2 is complete. Phase 3 begins now. Across 3 star systems, the Angels deployed in synchronized waves. They didn't bomb cities. They didn't slaughter civilians. They killed only those who had blood on their hands, and those who had enabled it. Judges, officers, priests who had blessed the attack, corporate brokers who sold war machines disguised as medical drones. Every death was justified. Every name matched with confirmed data. Kyra had ensured it. Because this wasn't revenge anymore. It was cleansing. In the Dravari capital, fear metastasized. Warlord Jerntal raged across his war room, slamming fists on star charts and screaming in his silent calms. They are medics, he bellowed to his council. How can medics do this? They were medics, hissed his defense minister. Now, there's something else. Something made for this. Another aide stumbled in. Warlord, you need to see this. The lights dimmed. A hologram blinked on, an aerial shot of a destroyed training camp. Human words scrawled in blood across the landing pad. No mercy for those who kill mercy. Beside it, a heap of Dravari helmets. And at the center, a Red Cross armband soaked in green blood, placed gently atop a polished scalpel. A message, a memorial, a warning. In orbit, EarthGov intelligence intercepted a dozen Dravari distress signals. None were answered. The enemy was cannibalizing its own fleet, turning on internal factions, executing suspected collaborators. Paranoia spread faster than any virus. But Earth's high command didn't celebrate. They merely monitored. The Angels had gone beyond sanctioned retaliation. Yet no one dared stop them. Their methods were brutal, but their targets were exact. And the message was received. Across the stars, no species dared interfere with humanitarian missions again. White tents were untouchable. Red crosses became symbols of holy fear. On a ruined Dravari moon, Kyra and Wraith moved through a covert data facility. No guards, only automated defenses. The team neutralized them with EMP bursts, precise and clean. In the server core, Wraith located a list of internal transmissions. One caught Kyra's eye. Encrypted footage. She decrypted it. The video played. It showed the massacre. High res. From the attackers' helmet cams. Laughter. Kill counts. Mocking the medics. One of the Dravari even tore a Red Cross patch off a nurse's uniform and pissed on it before executing her. Kyra's jaw locked. She watched it twice. Memorized every face. Then she burned the server and crushed the drives herself. That night, beneath a shattered starlit sky, the Angels camped in silence. Wraith sat beside Kyra as she cleaned her gear. He broke the silence. You ever wonder what comes after this? Kyra didn't look at him. There is no after. There is only the mission. But once it's done, Kyra exhaled slowly. I was a trauma surgeon once. A good one. I remember the first time I lost a patient on the table. I cried. Couldn't sleep. Thought I failed. Wraith nodded. And now? Now, she said, standing and locking her rifle. I make sure no one else ever has to lose theirs on purpose. She stared out over the burning horizon. In the distance, a Dravari outpost lit up like a dying star. Another Angel strike, she whispered. They turned our healers into corpses. We turned their killers into memories. Blood debt paid. The orbital defense net of Dravari Prime lit up like a sun as the Angels of Death arrived. Not in waves, not with fleets, just 12 drop ships. Silent, unregistered, traveling below sensor thresholds. They moved through blind spots carved by 2 weeks of methodical dismantling. Supply chains severed, surveillance stations destroyed, command codes stolen from the dead. And now the blade reached the throat. Inside her dropship, Lieutenant Kyra Voss reviewed her final mission packet. Target, Warlord Jerntal. Location, Dravari War Council Bunker, under the capital city of Vekad. Priority, elimination. Status, unconditional directive, final phase. She checked her weapon diagnostics, her HUD projections, her suit's vitals. Then she checked one last image, a photo of Dr. Alara Min, still smiling in that tent, still alive in that final moment before betrayal. Kyra blinked slowly. Mission starts in 60. Dravari Prime's skies were dark when the Angels descended. This time, the enemy was ready. Surface-to-air plasma cannons activated. Anti-orbit satellites tracked every vector. War mechs rumbled to life. Thousands of soldiers deployed across the bunker perimeter. They had finally taken the Angels seriously. It made no difference. Kyra and her team dropped outside Vekad's southern district under a cloaking veil, splitting formation mid-descent. They landed in silence and broke through the subterranean entry tunnels with precision charges. The Angels didn't go through walls, they bypassed them. They didn't engage defenses, they dismantled them in silence. By the time the Dravari bunker realized they were inside, it was already too late. Inside the War Council chamber, Warlord Jerntal roared over the central comms feed. All units to Section Omega. Protect the chamber. Engage all Terrans. We hold this ground. 8 officers scrambled, clawing for weapons and panic codes. The doors blew inward with a directed sonic charge. Dust and smoke filled the chamber. Then shapes emerged, tall, metal, in human shadows glowing from within. Their armor bore no insignias. Only crimson crosses, etched in silent fury. The first 3 council guards died before they could fire. Jerntal pulled his plasma blade and roared, lunging at the nearest angel. He met Kyra Voss. Their blades clashed once, metal singing through air. He struck again, snarling, a beast of war. Kyra pivoted, feinted low, and drove her blade into his abdomen. As he fell, gasping, she leaned close. "You ordered the massacre." He spat blood. They were in the way. War does not pause for the weak. She whispered, "War doesn't get to touch them again." And then she executed him. The chamber was silent. The angels didn't gloat. They didn't destroy the room. They left behind a message carved into the stone table at the center of the chamber. "You took healers from US. We took war from you." They extracted without casualties, leaving a stunned capital in blackout silence. A week later, on Earth, beneath the silver sky of Geneva, a memorial was unveiled. It stood in a silent garden, surrounded by flowers, light, and silence. 167 names, etched into obsidian, each marked not by rank, but by role: field surgeon, trauma nurse, childcare volunteer. Kyra stood in civilian clothes beside the monument. No fanfare, no medals. The public didn't even know the Angels of Death had existed, but they knew the result. The Galactic Council passed Resolution 9A, now known as the Sanctity Accord. Any attack on medical personnel would henceforth trigger automatic emergency response by EarthGov's Seraphim protocol. No questions, no votes, only consequences. And across the stars, red crosses became as feared as they were respected. Wraith approached Kyra, standing beside her with his hands in his coat pockets. "Still doesn't feel done," he said quietly. "It never will be," she replied. "That's why we made sure no one else gets to start it again." They stood in silence for a while. Behind them, an EarthGov agent approached Kyra with a data slate. "Ma'am, there's been another attack on a med." Kyra turned slowly. "On what?" The agent cleared his throat. "Sorry. There was almost an attack. A small pirate group approached a relief zone on Orpheus Station. But the moment they saw the Red Cross, they turned and left." Kyra nodded. "Then we've done enough." Epilogue. Far beyond known space, in a newly charted sector, an alien diplomat reviewed interstellar conduct laws. His aide pointed at one clause. "What's this one?" "This red symbol." The diplomat's voice dropped to a whisper. "That is not just a symbol. That is a line." He paused, then looked up. "And when you cross it, the angels come."